What's going on, everyone? Nick or Catalyst here. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So today we have an unscripted video. I've decided to do this video unscripted and just let my thoughts roll out on how I feel about Firestorm, the brand new Battle Royale game mode that has been hyped and hyped and hyped, and everybody knew that it was coming to Battlefield 5, and it's finally here. It's been out for about 48 hours at this point, so everybody has had their fair shakes at the game. Hopefully most of you have tried it by now. So I'm going to give my thoughts and impressions on the game mode, and more importantly kind of just give an overall, I guess, sentiment on whether or not I feel like the game mode has succeeded in what it was trying to do. Now, of course, everybody may have their different opinions on, what those goals were, but for me, I think the goal was to deliver, well, first of all, good content to Battlefield 5, and additionally, really just have a nice new Battle Royale mode that can attract players back to the game. And for those of you who have been around my channel for a while, you know that I really didn't have any expectations for this game mode. I thought it was going to play a lot like the base game of Battlefield 5, and we'll get into all of that. But I really didn't have any expectations for the game mode, and I wasn't really hyped for it. I was kind of staying away from it. But, we have a lot to get through in this video, so there's no use in having a long-winded and over-drawn-out intro. So let's get into everything, guys. If you like the video, make sure you drop a like on it. Let's get right into it. So by far, one of the more frequent questions that I've received about Firestorm thus far is, how does it feel? Does it feel a lot like the base multiplayer for Battlefield 5, or did they change some things around? And yeah, I mean, they did change some things, mainly specifically that you get 50 extra health than the base game. Of course, base game, they give you 100, but you do get 150 health at the start, and you also start with level 1 armor, but you do have to find an armor plate to activate that, but there is more health at the start than normal. But other than that, it's pretty much exactly the same as the Battlefield 5 base multiplayer. The gunplay is exactly the same. It's very, very tight. You're going to want to aim down sights a lot, but if you've played Battlefield 5 before Firestorm, you're not really going to notice much of a difference. Originally, I did feel like there was a little bit of extra aim assist, but more and more time playing, I think it's just the fact that I'm not used to, or rather, in Firestorm, I'm only coming across 1 or 2 targets at a time, and I'm noticing the aim assist more instead of, in the base multiplayer, I'm coming across maybe 3 to 5 enemies a minute. So I think I was just noticing it more because, well, I was running into less players. It does feel like a Battlefield Battle Royale. You're going to understand what that means when you play it for yourself. And overall, I think the mode really runs very, very well for as big as the map is and as much as what is going on. I think Criterion actually lowered the graphical settings and upped the hertz to 60 for the servers, if I'm not mistaken. So in a lot of ways, the Firestorm can actually run better than the base multiplayer at sometimes. But overall, it feels exactly like the base multiplayer, and I consider that a very, very good thing. I think underneath all the BS issues that the multiplayer has undergone, whether it's been changing the TTK and some of the gameplay mechanics that I'm not so fond of, it really does, I think at the end of the day, it really is a positive. One of my favorite things is definitely the Firestorm itself. It's very cool and unique, and I think why I like it so much is I'm actually really afraid of the Firestorm, and of course not deathly afraid, but that storm actually hurts you. I feel like, especially with like Fortnite and PUBG, there's really no fear of the circle because you are able to stay in the circle and heal up if you maybe are out of position or whatever, and you can survive an extended amount of time in the circle in those games. Not in Firestorm. Once you get in the Firestorm, there is this definite feel of danger that I think a lot of other Battle Royales lack. And it's something that's extremely cool. The only issue that I have with the Firestorm itself is that it does give off some audio. Obviously, it's a burning blaze of fire. It's going to have to give off something. But that audio, it sometimes does sound like footsteps. And kind of my intuition from playing other Battle Royale games is that there are going to be people on the outskirts right in the circle. And that paranoia really affected me. So there was a few times where I was absolutely freaking out because I thought I was hearing footsteps all around me at the edge of the circle, when in reality it was just the storm making a bunch of noise. But other than that, the audio is all really good. That's kind of a standard for Battlefield games. The audio is always top-notch, so there's no complaints there. I do love the objective capture zones in the game. That is something very unique to Battlefield. and I think it's something that sets this battle royale apart from others. And it's not like those capture zones are supply drops, because there are, standard supply drops that you can find scattered across the map, but it adds an extra layer of, I guess, tactical gameplay. Obviously, everybody knows you're capturing the zone, so it's a very good risk and reward kind of gameplay mechanic, but it's something that I ended up really enjoying, and especially for a game that, as we'll get into, struggles with the mid game, it provides some really intense firefights, especially when you're fighting over some really coveted loot. I'm also a really big fan of the way that tanks have been balanced in the game. As an infantry player for the base multiplayer, I really was worried that tanks, when they were gotten, would absolutely dominate the entire game of Battle Royale, and really I think Criterion has done a very good job at balancing them. They don't get a lot of fuel, they don't get a lot of ammo, it's very easy to outlive a tank, so bad tankers really can't just do whatever they want with you, and there's also a lot of Panzerfausts and AT mines and AT pistol grenades scattered across the map, wherever you're going to be looting. So I'm really enjoying the way that they balanced that out, and they really made it so tanks are powerful, and they're definitely something that you would want to go after, but they're not exactly game breaking. As far as the different options for the game modes are concerned, solos are fun. Squads are by far the better option, though. Solos have a really bad mid game that makes the mode not very exciting to play, and overall I think this can also be applied to squads in some areas, but the way that the game is structured, early game and end game are both really fun, especially if you drop into a hot area. A really good player will be able to wipe that entire hot drop, and it's going to be very action packed and very chaotic and overall a lot of fun. But, and especially in solos, after that initial early game, you can go pretty much the entire mid game without seeing anybody until you get to the end game, and it can get very boring in that aspect, and especially very frustrating if you you have a very successful early game and you wipe a lot of people. Let's say you have 5 or 6 kills coming out of the area that you dropped in, you run around for 15 minutes, not see anybody, and then die from somebody hiding in the foliage, either a tree or in the snow or in a bush with a green MG42, and they've been pretty much crawling their way to victory. That can get pretty frustrating. Excuse me. So mid game definitely needs a bit of work, and that definitely has something to do with the map size. The map is gigantic, which isn't a bad thing necessarily, but it does contribute, as I said, to the bad mid game. But the map is actually starting restricted, which I thought was kind of weird at first, but now I understand why they did it. I mean, there's only 64 players in the lobby, and the map is really, again, gigantic, so it makes sense why they restrict the playing field. But maybe there's something they could do to fix the bad mid game. Maybe they can up the player count. Maybe they can restrict the initial Firestorm area even more so. I don't know. I think there's definitely room to kind of fiddle with that and see what they can do to make it a little bit better. More on the map. The map itself is kind of forgettable, and in some ways that's a good thing, some ways that's a bad thing. On the one hand, areas don't stick out as much, so there isn't necessarily a preferred landing spot that wrecks all other landing spots. There's no Tilted Towers, there's no Skull Town, there's no, oh gosh, Nuke Town in the Blackout game mode, for example. But on the other hand, this map looks exactly the same wherever you land. Obviously, there's the different biodomes, there's the snow, and then there's the grass. But with exception to a few landmarks like the pit and the dam, and maybe one of the waterside towns, you aren't going to recognize where you are, and you aren't really going to care. And that's going to play against, I think, the replayability of Firestorm. Not like the map isn't beautiful or anything. The map looks really good, especially when you come out of the snowy mountain areas and into the sunnier grass area. It's really pretty, but with that all being said, the map itself is kind of forgettable. Load times can be very annoying and long, especially if you die. It's a long process to get back into a game, and sometimes the pre-round is extremely long. It definitely makes you think twice about playing another game, especially if you have a bad ending to the previous game that you just played. So to put it into perspective, once you die, you go through an XP screen that takes probably about a minute to complete, and then if your squad exited, if you're playing with a squad, they have to join all the way back. You have to find a game, you have to load into the game, through a bunch of loading screens. You have to select your character, and then oftentimes you have to wait up to 60 seconds to a minute and a half to have everybody load into the game, and then you go back into the map, and that's about 5 minutes. Correct my math there if it's wrong. That's about 5 minutes of waiting in between games, and I think that's way too long. I think there's definitely ways that Criterion and DICE could cut down on those loading times. They just need to really dig down and maybe eliminate probably the map loading screen. I don't know. It's just very long, and sometimes it could get very annoying. And kind of on the same note, I don't really feel rewarded for winning in Firestorm. I get some XP and the same animation that I get for, winning best squad and multiplayer. Other than that, there's no special animations, there's no reward for winning, and it makes playing Firestorm a lot less addicting. I mean, when you think about it, a fair portion of the addiction to Battle Royales is the bold text on your screen that says you've won, and the swell of the music that gives you a sense of accomplishment. And in Firestorm, you just get a small bit of text on your screen. I mean, there may be some, there definitely was some instances where I didn't even know that I had won, and my screen began to freeze because the game was ending and I thought it was lagging out, but really I just won the game, and that was that. The armor system, I think personally, is really good. I do wish there were more armor plates on the map, specifically in the mid-game and the end game. I do like how everybody has the same chance to get armor in the early game, and there's generally plenty of it around, so everybody basically has level 1 armor. I really enjoy that about Firestorm, but there is a bit of a problem with the armor that's kind of unique to Battlefield, and that is that you can customize your hit markers to be any color you want. You can customize body shots, you can customize headshots, and then critical shots, and I would prefer it if you could see what level armor that the enemy has based on your hit markers, and obviously if everybody's hit markers are different, it's not going to make much of a difference. So I would really have all the hit markers be uniform for everybody in Firestorm, so you could tell what kind of armor your enemy has, and you just aren't, continuously putting bullets into a guy and saying, sheesh, does this guy just have a lot of armor plates? No, dumbass, it's level 3 armor, but that's a small issue. The bigger issue is that when you destroy an enemy's armor, you get a text notification that you have destroyed somebody's armor, and there have been times early on when I've been shooting an enemy, gotten this notification, and turned away because I thought I killed him, and then he ended up killing me. And that's simply because in the base game, the only text notification that you get that's that large is when you've killed an enemy. So kind of just a little bit of an inconsistency. It's caught me off guard a few times. Now I've gotten used to it, but for newer players, that's going to probably bug quite a few of you. One thing that I'm really kind of meh on is the gun rarity and how the weapons work in the mode. It does take the Fortnite approach in terms of there being a few different levels of increasing rarity, but these rarities don't affect weapon damage stats. They just affect weapon attachments and specializations, and those are already predetermined for you. Maybe this is too much to ask, but I would like to be able to customize those specializations and attachments on my tiered weapons pre-game. Give me some more adaptability to how I want to play the game. So I propose you being given limited options for things that you can put on your weapons per rarity, and of course the higher the rarity, the more you can equip on your weapon. But I think that would be an interesting twist. For example, take the Gewehr 43. Love the gun, but I don't pick it up too often in Firestorm because I would prefer to use it as a long-range rifle, and it really puts me in a bind. I hate the aperture sights on the blue variant. I just wish that I could put either a 3x or a red dot, and as far as the common variant goes, the iron sights really don't lend itself to how I want to play the game all that well. Like I said, I would just love to put a red dot or a 3x on my rifle, maybe in replacement to one of the specializations. Maybe you can make those interchangeable. I don't know, that's just one example, but that's definitely something to think about. In terms of actual combat, I think that you should earn assist counts as kill in Firestorm. It's a feature in the base game. It doesn't work exactly the same way, but I think it should definitely carry over because there have been a lot of times when I'm in a squad and I get to the end of the game and I only have 1 kill, but I know I did a lot more to contribute to the team, and I know I did a lot more damage to many more players than I actually killed. And you're not going to get a lot of kills in Firestorm anyway. You're probably not going to get more than 10. If you get more than 10, you had a really good game. And that's partly because, especially if you're in a squad, there's no real assist counts as kills. You either get the kill or you don't. And I would rather assist the kill than just plain not get the kill. And to add on to that, there are some inconsistencies with friendly fire. as a basis, there is no friendly fire when you shoot a teammate, but unfortunately, my buddy King and I found out the hard way. When you call in an artillery strike or a V1 rocket, it does apply friendly fire for some reason. And that doesn't make sense to me. Ideally, you want to use your artillery strike to pin down an enemy and use it to move up on them and advance and get the kills. But since you get killed by your own teammates' artillery strikes, you can't exactly do that. So the strikes are kind of rendered useless in that way. So now getting into the biggest thing, everybody's been talking about it, the looting system. It's extremely bad, and I have quite a few gripes with it. First being the most obvious, there are no death boxes in the game. There doesn't have to be death boxes per se in the game, but there just needs to be something in general, because the way it is now, this ain't it, Chief. I'm going to be honest. All the loot currently kind of just plops out and all over itself, and if you kill somebody who's behind a wall or a rock or in a corner or whatever, all of their loot is on top of itself, and it makes it extremely hard to pick up what you're looking for. And most of the time what you're looking for is armor plates, and the armor plates are often buried at the very bottom of the loot pile. And to be honest with you, even in open spaces sometimes the loot just piles up on itself. I don't know if there's an algorithm that's working or not. If it's broken, I'm not sure. I've heard that Criterion knows about this and are planning on fixing it, so please do. But I do have more gripes. The first being, as far as I could tell, the game does limit you on the amount of syringes and armor plates that you can carry, and for the life of me, I can't understand why that is. I think you should be able to carry as much health and armor as you want to, if you want to, but as far as I can tell, you are maxed out at 8 syringes and 3 armor plates, and I think that's a bit of an oversight. I get that you don't want people to just be able to run away and heal up the entire time, but that's kind of the game that you play with a battle royale. You really want to get that kill when it's possible, otherwise they can go away and heal up and come back and kill you. So I think that's a bit of an oversight. The inventory system itself is really kind of annoying. Especially on console, it's just not optimized very well, and I'm not sure how it is on PC. Maybe it's better, but on console, it's a task to go through your inventory, and there is a particularly annoying glitch that I've gotten when I'm looting, and of course we already talked about why I hate looting in the first place, but to run you through a theoretical example, let's say I want to drop my SMG for a Kar 98K. Well, you also need to pick up the sniper ammo if you don't have any already, and when you're completely full on inventory, you need to clear space for that ammo so you can pick it up, right? Well, there have been multiple instances, and I'm pretty sure you saw it earlier on in this gameplay when I was running with Slapperjacker away from the storm and I kept looting different bodies and switching weapons and ammo, everything. There's been multiple instances where I cannot drop the ammo that I need to drop in order to pick up the ammo that I need to pick up. Let's say I have MG ammo and shotgun ammo, but I've been using an SMG and AR. I don't need the MG and shotgun ammo, but the game will physically not let me drop that ammo. Like, it will not let me move over and select that ammo. And there have been multiple instances on the fly when I'm trying to loot fast and upgrade my kit, and I pick up a weapon that I can't get the ammo for before the storm closes in, or I get third-partied, and it's just a mess, and it's very annoying, and it's not really a fun time. But my overall opinion on Firestorm, it's fun. It's not necessarily always exciting though, but will it stay that way? It carries over a lot of annoyances from the base game. Visibility isn't all that great, the looting is bad, but it does play really, really well in terms of the gunplay, and it can be a lot of fun. I think the mid-game definitely needs a lot of work, especially in solos. It can be very, very boring. I do think that duos need to stay in the game when they are coming later. Right now they're limited time. I didn't mention that earlier in the video, but they are coming. I think they should stay in the game. Definitely should not be limited time. I don't understand what DICE's fascination is with limited time things in this game, but it's coming. My biggest concern though is, will Firestorm hold up within the next couple of weeks? Because the reality is that Firestorm is the first bit of big content that Battlefield 5 has gotten since Panzerstorm, and it's a new map. People are probably going to have a lot of fun with it, but are they really excited? and happy to play the Battle Royale? Are they really having fun with the Battle Royale because it's fun, or are they having fun with it because it's new content? And that's something that I've been struggling with, and I imagine that's something that a lot of other people are struggling with. So let me know what your opinions are of Firestorm in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I know it was a lot to get through, a lot of me just talking, but if you did enjoy it, make sure you drop a like on it. Subscribe if you're new for more Firestorm content, for more Battlefield 5 content. It's all going to be here. Turn on post notifications if you haven't already. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. My name is Nick or Catalyst, and I will see you all another time.